Welcome, welcome. Hey guys. Hop on in here, everybody. Happy Sunday, folks. Let me know where you guys are watching me from, and let me know what time it is where you're watching. We're going to do Ask Me Anything. And it just occurred to me that we went live and we talked about fitness uh, last week. And I didn't have a chance to take any of your questions. So I did want to hop on over here and take your fitness journey questions since obviously I know a lot of people are working on their fitness for the new year. So I think it's a great idea, by the way. Starting to stroll on in here. Welcome, welcome. Let me know where you're watching from if you just hopped on in. And let me know what time it is where you're watching. We're gonna do like just a super quick live Q&A on the fitness journeys particularly, but if you have any questions, you can pop your questions in the chat and I'm happy to take your questions. Let's see what you guys have going on. So I think last time I was on and we talked about the fitness journey. I want to mention that it was super cold. And today, likewise, it's chilly. So, but we're out here again. We're continuing on the fitness journey. We do what we're supposed to do, even if it's uncomfortable. And I think that's all actually in biblical wisdom, too. So, yeah, let me know what you guys are up to. Let me know where you go. Oh my gosh, they're cutting the tree down. Oh, it's rained for a week. So, the trees are falling, and as a result, people are cutting their trees down. I've got to show you guys my tree because, well, when I get back near the house, I got to show you guys my tree because it's still going strong. It hasn't fallen yet, and I often think about that. I often think about the fact that of all the trees on my street, mine is still going strong. So, I'm hoping that it stays that way because I only have one major tree and the rest of them have been cut down. Yeah, it looks cold. It is cold, y'all. It's seasonably uncomfortable. We'll say that. Welcome everybody. Go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. But yeah, I'm all bundled up, so I'm perfectly fine. But it does require being bundled up. It's not a joke at all. The Southerners are mad. They're cranky, or they're inside. They're not mad and cranky. They just haven't left their house for a week. But I've decided that it's worthwhile to leave the house, and so here I am. Welcome everybody. You're like you'll say in Boston. Yeah, you can keep Boston. I've been to Cambridge, Massachusetts before, so I went to Cambridge a couple of times. I was at Boston once. So yeah, it's too cold up there. And I've been to Minnesota too, and I cried. I cried in Minnesota because it was so cold. So yeah, let me know where you guys are watching me from, and I want to do a quick live Q&A on Ask Me Anything. You can ask anything in the whole wide world. But last time I went live and I talked about my fitness journey, I didn't really give a chance to ask questions because transparently it was just too cold and I had to get back to the house. But today I have like at least two layers. I don't have a whole lot of layers. I could be doing better, but I have a scarf and I have a long sleeve shirt and then a jacket. So that's gonna have to do for now. And we'll go from there. So we're gonna do Ask Me Anything really quick. Let me know where you guys are watching me from, and let me know what time it is. And definitely, if you guys want to talk fitness journey or Bible or anything, let me know because um, I'm definitely in the mode for fitness. And I will say this. I'll say that it's not for the weak. Doing fitness journeys is not for the weak. So let me see what you guys are talking about. So yeah, it's 39. Oh my goodness. 39? That's horrible. I think we're 47-ish, 47-ish, which is honestly, I can't complain. I can't complain about it. It's not warm. It's not warm, but it's not horrible. It could be worse. It could be worse, and if it was, then I just would just not be outside. I'd be at the gym, instead of outside. But guys, you have to get some vitamin D out here. You gotta get some daytime outdoor, like, you gotta get out. I think it's one of those things that if you do it, you're better for it, and if you don't, you'll wish you did. So, so yeah, it's been raining for like a whole week down here. So as a result, there was not a lot of outdoor time in the rain. So now that it's at least dried up and it's dreary, I thought at least I can get outside for a bit. I see Argentina's in the house. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm in Atlanta. It's 3:11 p.m. Eastern time. So do let me know where you're watching me from. And do let me know if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and start popping them in the chat. You guys can like light up the chat with your questions. And I'm going to take any question in the whole wide world. But while I'm waiting on questions, I'll definitely talk a little bit about what I've learned on my fitness journey. Last time I talked to you guys, I told you guys the ups and downs of the fitness journey and how interesting it was to take advice from different influencers only to realize that they were speaking to their specific audience. So their advice was not wrong, but it varied because one guy had like a bodybuilding audience, and another lady had like people that were like midlife in her audience. So it's just different people were given different details. And I'm just kind of learning like to do what I need to do for me and not turn the world upside down in the process, if that makes any sense. I see Poland's in the house. Welcome, welcome. I see Pakistan's in the house. Let's go, guys. All right. So I see questions. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, so let's see. I see a question in the chat. Let me see. If you have a parent, a mother who has immigrated legally 40 plus years ago, but father's name has history 5 to 6 generations here, do you consider their kids first generation American or seventh? Okay. Ooh, that's a complicated question. Um, if I have a mother who's immigrated 40 years ago and a father whose name has history 5 to 6 generations here. Okay, so mom immigrated here 40 years ago. Um, Ooh, because there's one parent that basically isn't from here and another parent that is. I mean, I'm not giving legal advice on immigration, that's for sure. But I'm gonna say the kids are first generation because I'm not gonna go back and count the dad's all of his legacy family here because the child was born outside of America, it sounds like. Or no, let's see. No, the child was born here. Um, I'm gonna still consider it first generation. Let me see. Mom immigrated here. But what's the dad's thing? So where was the dad at that whole time though? Because you're talking about the dad's family, but we're not hearing about the dad. Does the dad live here or did he live someplace else? Um, Based on what I see, I don't see anything about the dad, so I'm gonna go with first generation until I hear more about not the dad's history, but like where was the dad? Because if the dad left, then I'm gonna just consider it starting all over again for him. But based on the mom, I'm sure I'm gonna call it first generation based on the mom. But that's just my guess. I'm no immigration expert. All right, let's have a look here and see. What do I think? Let's see. Dad's family has been in America. Well, if the dad's family's been in America, what about dad? Dad himself, though. Let me see. Look at the frost in those ATL streets. It's not frosty. It's just dreary. Um, um, What's funny is, I don't really think about immigration that much. Like, I don't think about anything other than, when I have friends that are immigrants, I don't really think in detail about much about where they're from and what generation. Like, that thought actually has never come to mind, and I have a ton of immigrant friends. It's never once come to mind, like, what generation are they? So, just, like, FYI, your friends aren't probably, like, really thinking that hard about it. They're probably just enjoying the things that you guys have in common, or they're, like, enjoying, like, learning more about, um just learning more about how you're different and how culturally you can like learn about food language and appreciate like style and all those different things because that's what I've enjoyed from my immigrant friends. I've been to all these different kinds of weddings and had all these different kinds of food, and I've got to meet all these different kinds of families, and had a few sleepovers at like different families houses, and really got to experience like their grandmas and like their culture and just all of it. And it's been pretty interesting. I think it's made me a better person to get to know the like actual day-to-day life of different people. I think it's made me a better person, and hopefully I made a good influence on their life too. All right, let's have a look here and see. What do I think about paid exorcism? I think they shouldn't be charging anyone for that service. God gave us the ability for free, and we should operate through the Holy Spirit and not charge. I agree with that. I think so. At the heart of it, exorcisms are basically prayer. That's what it actually is. So exorcisms are we call it inside of the church, we call it deliverance. So we don't use the term exorcism inside of the church. Inside of the church, we only do that specific type of prayer for people who believe in Jesus because there's no way to maintain freedom from demons without Jesus. So my neighbors are like, what's she doing? I love when I surprise them. So yeah, there's no way to maintain freedom from demons without Jesus. So inside of the church, we would never do deliverance prayer on someone who doesn't believe Jesus is Lord, because although we can get the demon out, we can't keep it out unless they manage and maintain it, which is only done through a surrendered life, if that makes any sense. All right, let's look at the next question. But yeah, don't take I would question that whole thing. If somebody is charging for deliverance, I would have all kinds of questions. Because it's prayer. So if anybody's charging for prayer or prophecy or deliverance, which is basically prayer, I would have all kinds of questions. So just move on if someone does that to you. Um, let's see. Not saying that it won't work. I just don't think it's a good practice. Let's see. Born in Brazil. Father is from Colombia. My mom is Paraguayan, although I live in Argentina. Oh, wow. That's a beautiful culture you got there. I mean, my first question is is do you cook any of that beautiful food? Because that must be nice in your house in the winter. All that savory, warm, delicious seasoned food. It must be extremely good. Michigan's in the house. Hello, at least welcome. um yeah, I don't think we should be like charging for prophecy or for prayer ever. And deliverance goes in the bucket with prayer. So yeah. Although I want to caveat, I think it's okay for people in ministry to get paid, to make a living wage, all those kinds of things. I think that's all, some ministries are really big. They're going to make more money. That's fine. Some of them are small. They make less money. That's also fine. But not for prayer, not for prophecy, definitely not for deliverance, which is people on the street will call it exorcisms, but hey, call it what you want. All right, let's see. Do 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 do. Scrolling here. Captain America. Um, it's just odd being grouped into white, "You owe reparations for your lineage," when half of mine came to make things better. I don't have generational wealth, but seem to catch the hate nevertheless. Oof, I'm sorry. Well, if it helps any, I mean, I don't have any reparations and I catch the hate too, so you're in good company. Um, let's see, can I read the comment? Yeah, Rakesh, I'm reading. Let's see. Looked at a new property in Newton, but the property taxes are 42K a year. Ouch. Ooh. I don't know what the going rate is in Newton, and I don't know if that's reasonable or if this is a result of um, lack of housing because of home. I don't know what's the rationale for it, but I wish you all the best on your home purchasing journey. It sounds kind of fun though. Like, it sounds kind of fun, even if you don't buy one. You could just go have fun looking. What's my thought on T.Y. William? I don't know who that is, y'all. Y'all, who is that? You're gonna make me look it up though. I don't know who it is. I don't have an opinion. Um, in general, I try not to comment too much on specific people. So what I will generally do is rather than comment on a specific person, if you give me a scenario, then I'll comment on the scenario. Just because I don't want to be super gossipy. Like, I know that's how people make money on YouTube. I realize that. I realize that like that's definitely the way to go if you want to have like a nice YouTube check. It's just that God hasn't let me like that. So I generally don't I try not to make comment on specific people as much as possible. And if I do, I want it to be like take their name out and make it a lesson that I learned from a scenario versus I don't want to come off as shaming the person because we all have a moment when we're like down and struggling. We all have that. So if somebody caught me when I was down, it would be like my worst moment and I don't want to be gossiped about. And my life isn't over yet, so you never know when I could have a down moment. And I hope there's somebody out there that gives me the same grace. And maybe they use the scenario, but they don't name me. That's just, I think that's pretty reasonable to use it as educational purposes only, but not to name people. So yeah, I don't know about. I don't know about that individual, but if you can put the scenario in the chat, then I can maybe comment on the scenario. How about that? All right, let's see. I love New York. I love New York too. Um, Hi there. Hi, Jill. I'm good. Um, am I trying to convince people to follow Jesus? Of course I am. Of course I'm trying to convince people to follow Jesus. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. No one comes to the Father except through him. So of course I'm trying to convince people to follow Jesus. Hey guys, I haven't said it yet, but come follow Jesus. All right, let's see what else we've got in the chat. Um, Oh, you've been in New York for a few months? That's awesome. I came back from New York just like a few months ago. I had a grand old time. Let's see. Yeah, people are walking around ATL with scarves on. Like, if you don't, I don't know how you're gonna make it. um, let's see. I passed the, I passed the winter hat. I could still go get a winter hat, like, you know what? I don't have a lot of wintry stuff down here, but, I mean, I could do better. I could get more festive about my Christmas season, like, walks. Like, I have to see how cold it gets because, um, when I was at my peak, I would still go out and, like, walk and jog even when it was in the 30s. So, but then I got a really bad respiratory infection one season and it had me like out for the count, like out. So, after that, I stopped jogging if it's was it 33 or was it 36? That's the temperature that like I won't do the outdoor jog. I won't do it. So yeah, I stopped at that point because I think for some reason that's when I got sick when I did it before, so And I was sick for over a month. It wasn't like a little sick, it was a horrible sick. So, yeah, for those of you guys just hopping in there, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And pop your questions in the chat. I want to hear from you guys. So let me know what's going on with you guys. And then when I get a chance to get back indoors and get settled, I'll do some Bible time. But first thing is first, taking care of me. You ran 5 miles this morning. Woohoo! 22 degrees. Oh my gosh. That's pretty militant. I mean, are you in the military? Yeah, that's a real one right there. That's pretty awesome. Like, honestly, like, no one has any excuse. If Les is like jogging around at 22 degrees, I don't think any of us have an excuse to be on the couch. Oh my gosh, I was listening to this fitness influencer last night, and she was totally militant. She was like, "You guys are gonna get your steps in. You're gonna," I mean, she was yelling at everyone, but it was so funny is that she had like a crowd full of people in her live, and I'm just gonna say, I think the reason why she had a crowd full of people is because the people that were there because they probably figured this is what I need. Like, I need someone to just get on, like, you know, just scream out, "This is what you gotta do. This is where we're going next." They probably wanted that structure. So it may have seemed wild, but I'm sure they appreciated it. The neighbors look at you crazy when you go out for runs. Yeah, 22 degrees. They're probably like either he's like if he doesn't have his run, his day doesn't start well, or he's nuts. Perhaps a little bit of both. Just joking. But yeah, y'all, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what time it is where you're watching, and definitely um pop your questions in the chat. I actually think it's discipline. Because they say the most successful people are, well, I'm not gonna say they say, I'm gonna say I say. Let me clarify that. Um, because I can't quote the one on the fitness because I can't remember exactly the exact word, but I think the exact words were something like, people that um stick to a structured fitness routine like lifelong, that their levels of success are technically typically higher if they're very, because it's showing self-discipline, because there are gonna be days where you don't feel like doing it, and those people that get up and do it when they don't feel like it, like, those are the real ones, basically is what the study was showing. But that was a study that I read, like, oh my god, years ago now, so I don't wanna really quote it because I can't think of who publicized it, etcetera. But, yeah, anecdotally, I will say anecdotally, personally, um the people that I know that are super successful, like, financially, they stick to their fitness routine, like, the ones who are, like, made ridiculous amounts of money. Not saying that money's everything, but it doesn't hurt anything either. Alright, let's see what you guys are talking about. You're watching football, lifting weights, watching me at the same time? That's a lot going on. Am I on the TV, Les? Let me know. Let me know if I'm on TV or if I'm on, like, the cell phone on top of, like, a treadmill. Let me know exactly where I'm standing. I gotta have, like, the real one. So yeah, so we're doing Ask Me Anything. Hello, Carl. Welcome, welcome. We're doing a quick Ask Me Anything as I'm on my walk. It's cold outside, so I'm a little slightly layered. I should have been more layered, by the way. The laptop is, oh, the laptop is where I'm standing. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Like, hopefully you've got me on a laptop with heels, because we do heels up in this house. Um, Let's see. Hi 3748. The Powerball is 875 million dollars. What? You guys know something? Fun fact about me. I've never played the lottery in my life. And not because I have anything against it either. It's just that I'm a practical person, so I always look at the lottery as like, well, your chances of winning are kind of as much as like your chances of like getting struck by lightning. So I just don't think practically makes any sense. It's my practical side that comes out. I'm like, meh, chances are not good. Who cares? So, so like, yeah. So yeah, let me know what's up, guys. We're doing Ask Me Anything, which means you can ask me anything in the whole wide world. A lot of times we do Bible chats, but I'm a registered nurse. I have a business degree and a seminary degree, and I'm a doctor of healthcare administration. So you guys can like just throw some crazy questions in the chat, and I'm gonna take your questions. Hannah's already rich. She don't need no lottery money. No, I'm not rich. Um, but, you know what? Every now and then when I'm gonna go do something like that and I think to do it, I think, "Ugh, someone else needs the money more. Let them do it." I do think that sometimes and just don't do anything. But yeah, I don't have anything against playing the lottery. I just have never played it ever in my whole life. Not in my whole life. So yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, it's a little frosty out here. It feels like it's getting colder. And I wonder about this weather thing. Like, it was so pretty a month ago. It was like I had sunblock on, y'all. A month ago, it was early November, and I was wearing sunblock and like I was getting a tan. I still have a tan line from early November. And I'm like, it all ended. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, we're doing Ask Me Anything. So go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. Guys, be sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. Be sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. It's your chance to ask me anything. And then in a little bit, I'm gonna go add another layer because I truthfully feel like it's gotten colder. Sunblock a month ago and 2 pairs of socks today. I don't have 2 pairs of socks, but it's not 22 degrees. So there's that. I mean, if it was 22 degrees, I'd just be at the gym. I wouldn't even be outside. I wouldn't even do it. But yeah, welcome everybody. Hey guys, my neighbors. I ran into one of my neighbors at the store yesterday, and I haven't seen her in forever. I haven't seen her in forever and ever. Somebody said invest into a Roth IRA. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. Um, Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what time it is where you're watching. And also, pop in the chat if you have any questions. I'm taking any questions. Am I moving? Are you moving or what my I'm moving. I'm moving. You can see. Do you be moving like moving out of my town? Or am I walking? Like, yeah, I'm walking. My neighbors are big. They don't You're mean, Les. Be nice. Be nice, be nice. That's not very nice, Les. Always count on Les to keep the chat interesting. He'll say anything. And when I say ask me anything, he'll comment anything as well. I didn't say comment anything. I said ask me anything. Anywho, let me know what you guys are up to. Let me know what time it is where you're watching. And if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. It is your chance to ask me anything. So you can ask anything in the whole wide world. And I'm sure you guys have some questions out there. Let's go. Let's see. I mean, we're wrapping the end of the year. Do you guys know what I'm saying? We're wrapping the end of the year. It's been an interesting one. And we gotta see how next year kind of pans out. Do you guys know what I'm saying? And I'm curious, what are you guys looking forward to next year? Let me know. Let me know. That's so sweet. Very sweet, Jay. Let's see. 3:33. What am I doing the rest of the day? I'm probably gonna read my Bible and I might do Bible study. What happens when I then I'm like, I should just go to bed now. Ever since I realized that, like, well, I didn't just realize it, but staying awake is not really the best for your fitness routine. And Sundays, I have a rule of like, okay, definitely, like, I want to be off of online by like 11ish p.m. So just because then I need like my wind down time and then go to sleep, right? So yeah, if it's 4 now and I start like fiddling around, I might fiddle around and read for like 4 hours, then I'll eat dinner, and then I'll start getting lazy, and then I'll look up, I'm like, "Oh, well, it's late. I should go to bed now." Do I think I get adequate sleep? I do, but I get it, like, fragmented sometimes. Like, some weeks I do better than others. Last week I did really good. This week, actually I did okay. Last night I couldn't fall asleep, which was unfortunate. I don't know why I couldn't fall asleep. I just couldn't. But by the time I fell asleep, it was like super late, and which made me sleep in today. But that's all good because I slept in today. So overall, if I'm off one day, I usually catch up the next day, and I think that's useful. You said you want to call into work so you can get a day off. I mean, I can't tell you that I support that because I generally don't do such things. So yeah, I don't do that generally, and I just don't. That's just how I was raised. My dad's military, so yeah, even if I was sick, it was like, we go, we get up, we go. And my dad would use a term like, "Are you guys ready to pop up on Monday?" He would say that. He'd be like, "Are you guys ready to pop up? You ready to pop up on Monday?" And I'm like, "Daddy, it's the weekend. I don't want to talk about Monday." So yeah, I don't want to pop up on Monday is what I was thinking. I want to sleep in too. But I think it's good discipline because if you start off with like the ability to like call in, like when you're younger and you are able to like sleep in and not go to school, I think it builds less stamina. And I think when you get to be an adult and you're trying to like have to go to work because you had to, it becomes harder to do it because you know like you got to pay bills, but it's just like that. After today's game later on, when day is winding down, I'll get into the Word and read my Bible a little. Let's go, my Bible readers. Let's go. But yes, but I'm so thankful to have the weekends off because think about it. I worked so many holidays in my early years. I worked so many days, like so many holidays in the hospital, so many weekends. So yeah, not working on the weekend is a kind of a gift. So at least it's like you're back on the schedule with most of the world, which is pretty nice. Um, Let me know what's up, guys. But yeah, I thought even if I end up reading my Bible and then not going live, then at least I feel good that I went out and went live with you guys during my walk. Um, which I typically do all by my lonesome. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Pop your questions in the chat. I'm taking your questions. Let's see what's up. I see Canada's in the house. Welcome. Hello to you, 65 over there in Canada. So yeah, um, one of the things I learned about like not sleeping early is that it messes up your cortisol level, and having a high cortisol level will increase your belly fat. So it actually is pretty important to sleep. And if you don't, you kind of end up working against yourself. So I think the goal when you're trying to like do things for fitness is to kind of like get on like a moving train and just ride it. You don't want to have to like fight against a moving train, if that makes any sense. So yeah. Um what kind of Christian am I? I'm just a regular old Bible believing, Jesus loving Christian. I don't really fit into any category. I'm just a Bible believing, Jesus loving Christian. That's what I would describe myself as. I don't want to be put in a box necessarily. Um Really, the truth is, if you start looking at all the boxes, what can happen is it puts us in a position where I tell you, "Oh, this is the box that I fit in," and then immediately you're like, "Oh, I met somebody from that box," or "I went to a church from that box," and then automatically we have nothing in common. And then, like, people don't feel that they can relate, right? So, that's one idea about it. And then the other idea about being put in a box is I have some concerns with some of the boxes, um, just because some of the things that if you look at every practice, like a lot of them have a little something that's off about it, like that's not biblical. So that can be a little messy. So once you assign yourself to a box, and then the people who organize the box do something that's not according to the Bible, then you're like, then you almost have to defend it. Or you got to just say, yeah, I take the L on that one. And it gets a little messy, if that makes any sense. So it's just kind of almost good to not use the label and I made my own label. I'm a Bible believing, Jesus loving Christian. I think that works too. Oh, you love Jesus? That's awesome. Malik, let's see, how many times have I gone around the neighborhood? I haven't counted. I normally don't count. I normally just go for like a 1 hour or 2 hour walk, but I don't normally count anymore. Like if I'm jogging, I count, y'all. If I'm jogging, I will count that. Then I'm like, okay, how many times has it been? Because it's painful. That's why I count. So this isn't painful, so I'm not counting it. Um, Although I kind of twisted my knee yesterday, which is bad. Um, and like I was like, okay, great. So I went to go lay down on it last night, and I woke up today and it was still hurting, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh. So actually, it hurts when I go up the stairs, but I kind of like don't want to not get any movement in, if that makes any sense. But certain things hurt it, so I'm just gonna try to, like I say, I fall out of agreement with all musculoskeletal conditions right now in Jesus' name, and I'm just gonna go for my walk. And this is a weird thing. Like, I don't know what age it happens where like you just like sometimes you like do something crazy. Like I didn't jump off a swing. I didn't like trip and fall. Like I just like twisted it wrong. It was just weird. Um, I've stopped taking my vitamins for a minute, and I just started taking them again. So, yeah, because I had an allergic reaction a while back. And when I had the allergic reaction, I literally stopped everything, like everything, because I just, not because the vitamins were new, but I was like, I want to reintroduce things one at a time and just make sure that there's nothing weird going on. So, I actually stopped taking all of my like little supplements and vitamins all at the same time. And I'm still kind of ramping back up and like starting to take them again. So, um, it just could be that I'm not taking all of those like musculoskeletal vitamin things that I had like in my collagen. Like I've not started my collagen again. I'm just a little bit off track with it. Let's see. Do I think being anti-Semitic telling my neighbor no, I don't think it's anti-Semitic to tell someone Merry Christmas, even if they're Jewish. I don't think so. I want us to just be, like, normal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking about this last night, like, even me, sometimes I'm the weird Christian, but I want us to be, like, normal. Like, I want us to, if we say Happy Hanukkah, like, that's not a big deal if we tell them Happy Hanukkah, right? You know, like, it's okay. Like, I think it's just normal. We can say Merry Christmas, and that doesn't mean anything. Like, they'll understand that this is a Christian nation, and it was founded on Christian values, and it's just a holiday. And for most people, Christmas is not even really about Jesus much anymore. It's about trees and gifts and materialism. So I don't even think the word Merry Christmas even carries the weight that it really should. Um, so yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. I don't think we should be thinking that hard about these labels that categorize us as something bad or something good so much. I think we should just try to get back to normal living and let our heart speak for everything. Because anybody who knows you and knows like how you're wired, these are people who like understand your heart and they won't even question such things, if that makes any sense. Someone said if they have never read the Bible, where should one start reading? Um, well, some people like the idea of starting with skipping the Old Testament. Like I hear that often. Um, I don't like that idea. But that's what a lot of people say because a lot of people don't appreciate the Old Testament. But I think there's just so much beauty and truth to the Old Testament. I'm an Old Testament, like, don't take that away from me, you know? The reason why people don't like starting with the Old Testament is they kind of feel like it's obsolete because the old covenant got replaced, fulfilled, fulfilled by Jesus's death on the cross and resurrection. So they feel like, well, the law is basically um it's we've improved the law by having grace. So why even look back at that? Well, here's my rationale. I'm going to try to sell you on it, but if you don't really like the Old Testament, if you feel like it's moving too slow, then you can start with the New Testament. But a lot of people like starting with Matthew, Mark, Luke. They like to start there, but I actually like for people to start with the front of the Bible because you learn so much more about the attributes of God. And I know some people will say, Old Testament, oh my gosh, the God of the Old Testament was so cruel and all these plagues and all this and that. And I think they're forgetting that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Does that make sense? So even if you look at the Old Testament and you see, oh wow, God is, God allowed this and God allowed that. God was taking a people who were set apart to be the holy people, and he was um, helping them learn and grow. He was cultivating like the knowledge of the truth in them. And there was a struggle there. And it's much like when you're like raising children and there's some issue, like there can be like a struggle there. So yeah, they were trying to be rebellious. Yes, they were falling behind and all those kinds of things, but God was still merciful and he still chased them. And when they repented, he was right there. So he was actually just teaching them. And he was also showing, you know, the strength that he's not just a God of love, but he was showing the full version of himself. That like, the Elohim side, the whole full version of himself, where he could be seen as, a God of war and a God who strikes against those, who come against him. We're seeing the full strength of the power of God. And I feel like because present day, we're in the church age, I feel like a lot of people have a sense for grace, which is beautiful. We need it. We need it terribly. But I feel like it could almost turn into hyper grace, and we can forget that the 7-year tribulation is actually still coming. And so that same God of the Old Testament is coming back to put an end to sin forever. So it's a full picture, and it's a type and shadow of what's to come. And I just think it's useful. I feel like I feel like studying the New Testament and not looking at the Old Testament, it makes me it reminds me of like when you get to know somebody and they're like let's say you had a hard life and then you get saved and you're this like brand new creation and you're living for God and loving God and all this awesome stuff, right? But if you have like a kind of a hard past and you're in a relationship and you don't tell them like, "Hey, I do have this past," and you don't want to share that ever, and you want to live in the newness, but you don't want to ever communicate what may come up later. I feel like that's the risk of not ever looking at the Old Testament is that there's stuff in there that we can see that it's the same God. So it's not just that the lessons are obsolete that we learn in the Old Testament. It's that it helps us understand God's attributes, his nature, how he responds in different scenarios. We can kind of see like, how is God, if that makes any sense. So I still like starting with the front of the Bible, reading from front to back, although a lot of people who are new at reading the Bible prefer to read from, New Testament on. I mean, I think there's just too much. There's too many like highlights that you'll miss if you do it that way. But I would say this, any amount of Bible that you read is good. And don't listen to me on how you feel most motivated to read. If you feel like you started at the beginning and you've gotten bored and you need to move on from that, then by all means, go to the middle. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would rather you I'd rather you read than give up, if that makes any sense. So, that's my 2 cents. But I'm the same person in reading the Bible that I am in regular life. So, if somebody tries to give me the short version of a story, then I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 now tell me the long version." You know? I'm the person that when it comes to a movie, I automatically think I don't wanna see the trailer. I wanna see the full thing, and I don't want the trailer to, like, disrupt the full version of the movie. So, I'm the same person, if that makes any sense. So, I'm also the same person when I read my Bible. So, I can't really divorce that part of me who loves the details from the part of me that does that make sense? Like, I want the details, and maybe some people want the cliff notes. So, I would probably say if you're into the Cliff Notes version, or you don't want all the details, or you don't want the backstory, then maybe just start with the New Testament. But that breaks my heart to say that out loud because the Old Testament, the Old Testament is for winners. I'm just joking with you. Start wherever you feel comfortable, but that's my advice. Um, if someone's never read the Bible, where should they? Oh, I already got that one. Um, let's see. You live in a Jewish neighborhood. Let me tell you, they do not understand that at all. You don't get, "Oh, well, you know what? Okay, so I did work with one man that was an Orthodox Jewish doctor, and I have a different experience. He was so wonderful. He was so lovely. He'd come to my office and sit down and talk every day, and he was just like he was so lovely. So I honestly, I maybe have a skewed version of what culturally it might be like to be like a minority in the community. Um, and he was obviously a minority at work, but I wasn't even saved at that time, but I felt like I learned he was so self-disciplined, and from that, I was like, and he was a bit of an older gentleman, but he was so self-disciplined that I really enjoyed just, like, the motivation that he felt like he gave me because he had, like, an injury, but at work, he would still, like, go to the gym and go for a walk on his breaks, and I love that. I love that he was, like, the walking like, the epitome of someone who's like, "I'm gonna take lemons and make lemonade out of this." I love that he was family oriented, he always spoke about his family, and I loved that I was a workaholic at that time, transparently, I was very, very much a workaholic, and I have graduated from away from that, but at the time, I was very much a workaholic, so, when they had their days where he would have to, like, be out and be home by, like, sundown and all that kinda good stuff. I could see the value, like, he never put anything before his family, not even money and a job. It was like, "Nope, we do this in this order." So, although we don't, have Jesus in common the same way, I was watching and observing that as an unbeliever, and I was appreciating those parts of his culture. I was receiving, like, the appreciation for that. So, um if you think that saying something is gonna be offensive, I will say this, so I may have had a miss there. My apology if I have a miss there. I don't live in a Jewish community, so I don't know the inner workings of how that might feel. My connection with the Jewish community has been very limited and very positive, so I don't know what it's like to be, like, the minority amongst the community. I just know that he was very kind, but he also was very clear, like they're serious about, keeping their community. I did get that from him. But I would say if you have a sense that saying that is gonna be offensive, then maybe it's not something that you say. If you're the one minority in the community, then I think it's better to use wisdom. Practical wisdom is what I call this. It's not being ashamed about Christ. It's practical wisdom. And you can win people differently for Jesus. You can win them in a different way by being loving and finding common ground. That's what I would say. Like, if you guys don't have Christmas in common, obviously, then maybe you don't talk about Christmas, but you talk about the things you do have in common, and you start there. And then one day you open up and just say, "Hey, um, do you know like how I came to Christ?" And then you share your testimony, like when it's the right time, and pray about it and be led by the Spirit, because God's not going to make a mistake on it. But yeah, if there's nuance with using Merry Christmas language, then don't use it. Like that, if that's not going to be common ground, if it's not worth a battle at all. It's not worth it. So that's what I would say about it. Let's see. Do 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 do. Do. Let's see. Do 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 do. How did I decide to read the Bible? Do I compare it with other holy books? I usually use I've got some books from seminary school that I use. I've got like theology books, and Old Testament books, and I've got New Testament books. And then I've got individual books on certain books of the Bible that I love a lot. um, I will typically go into, like, those basic books. I'm not in my house, so I can't show you. Normally, I would, like, lift them up and show you what books I usually use. But, I have kinda generic Old Testament books that go through chapter by chapter and explain things. I've got generic, New Testament books that go chapter by chapter and explain things. I've got, like, I wanna say maybe at least 2 Old Testament books, at least 2 New Testament books, and I've got some basic history books. So, when I'm, like, sitting down to look at a chapter, I'm also looking through, like, the appropriate background book. And then I've got, an interlinear Bible, interlinear, thing in a Strong's Concord. And if there's something that's of relevance there, I might go look at it and like look up a word and just see kind of like what does that mean and see if I get any new revelation. So it's kind of like carving out a puzzle. Just kind of like that's what I'm doing. If I just do a quick read, then I just quickly read it and I just sit into it for a bit and think and just think a little bit. But if like what I'm gonna do in a little while when I get back home, I'm gonna be like carving it up into pieces and things like that. So by the time I finish doing all that, a lot of times it's just bedtime. So, so yeah, let's see what you guys in here talking about. Finding common ground by two people who motivate each other, that stimulate the mind from negative distraction in positive in life. Um, looks like using positive coaching and good words. Um, stay away from street signs. I'm not gonna knock down any street signs. Um, let's see. Oh, is there somebody out here showing hate? I don't know these people. I'm gonna act like Mariah. I don't know them. I don't know them. I don't notice any hate in these streets. Let's see. Um, what are you guys in here talking about? Let me know where you guys are watching from. Let me know what time it is where you're watching, and pop it in the chat if you guys have any questions. Definitely be sure to hit the like button. Definitely be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. It doesn't matter. Les, you forgot. I am a Republican. I live in the South. Do you not know I have guns? Do you not know my dad's military? Yeah, all that. I actually don't worry about it. And if somebody wants to find you, believe me, they can. Believe me, without the signs, they could find me. There aren't that many of me in this world, and I'm one of a kind. And honestly, I'm not worried about it. If you would see some of the places that I go, you would not be worried about me and my street signs. If you would see some of the places that I go, you should be worried about me when I go out of town. You should be worried there. I do some of the dangerous stuff ever when I leave this little sweet neighborhood. That's when I'm gonna need your prayers. If I'm not afraid to go out on the streets of New Orleans and talk about Jesus, then I'm definitely not afraid of somebody trying to come get me inside of a house loaded with guns. I'm definitely not afraid of that. Although, you know what? I made a decision. I've made a decision since I've been saved that I'm gonna try to pray for them rather than just shoot them first. Isn't that cool? Or at least that's what I think. I mean, if my old nature takes over, then God help them. But yeah, that would be my goal is that they'd be saved. So yeah. But yeah, let me know what's up, guys. My phone's almost out of battery, so this is gonna be probably um not that much longer, maybe 10 more minutes before it like dies. So let me know if you guys have questions, pop them in the chat. And I said that I should have on another layer. So I'm gonna start looking at the temperature better and thinking, okay, this degree requires 3 layers. That degree requires this many layers. Somebody said go in and thaw out. Actually, once you get outside, you kind of are like, if you go back in, it's gonna be so warm in there, your idea of coming back out may go away. So I don't wanna once I go in, I may just stay in. So I'll probably just walk around outside with no battery. Like, that's fine. Like, I think it's more dangerous with all the animals, the wild animals versus the people. The people are fine, but they have wild animals out here, so that's kind of the scary thing. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Um, but with regards to like the books, back to the books thing, I would just say I do like to start with the Bible and come back to the Bible, if that makes any sense. If I look at any of these like outside of the book type texts, I recognize those as like written by man. They could have their own interpretation. I may not always agree with everything that they write, but I think it's one way of looking at things, if that makes any sense. I don't like subscribe to like that's the only way of looking at it because they're still men, right? But when I go back and I read all of those like history books and theology books and all these other things I have, I'll go back to the Bible and I'll kind of like, okay, that makes sense. Or a lot of times I'm just looking at if I see an interesting word, I'm just looking to see like, okay, what does that word mean like in the original language? Things that take time to do that you can't possibly do, just on a quick read. But bum bum. Display my resume. On a live? That's weird. You can just go look me up. You can look me up. There's plenty of information on me publicly available, so I would just say go look me up. You can find me. I'm not hard to find. Um, let's see what you guys over here are talking about. That's an interesting question though. Having a look see. Somebody said having no boss and working for yourself is a gift. I mean, that is absolutely true. That's 100% true. I would say. I would say, welcome, welcome everybody. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Pop your questions in the chat. We're doing a quick live Q&A before my phone runs out of batteries. It'll be out of batteries pretty soon. So I probably have it's hard to tell. I'm gonna go with probably 5%. Maybe not 5%, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know what percent it is without touching it. So yeah, I probably have like 5 or 10 minutes left, maybe 5 minutes left. So let me know. Pop your questions in the chat before my phone decides to go kaput. Jesus is king, for sure. Let's see what you guys are in here talking about. If you guys have like a Bible story that you want me to cover on my next live, you guys can pop that in the chat as well. I think somebody was asking about Malachi, and I reposted the book of Malachi already. So I had to go dig it out, but I did find it and I did repost it. So let me know so I can like do that Bible study when I do in the next couple of weeks. Sometimes I'll jump around every now and then. Um, every now and then. We'll see. Let me know, let me know, let me know. See what you guys are up to. Haven't had a boss for six. Oh, you haven't had a boss for 6 years? That's the best. Wouldn't change it for the world. I know it's so tough when you have a boss. Um, don't understand. I can't read the name that it's Chin. I don't understand, Chin. What are you saying? Tell me. But yeah, doing my little walk around the neighborhood. You guys, if you got your New Year's resolutions, this is your encouragement. Get started on them early. Don't wait. Don't wait for New Year's. Don't wait for anything. If there's something that you need to do, the wisest thing for you to do is just do it. Like, don't think much. Get started. Go for it and do it. Don't even think about it. The longer you think, actually, the less time you are using to get stuff done. Just go ahead and start. It'll be finished before you even think too much. And then that's one less thing for you to do. Like, just kill the procrastination by like hopping on it. Like, pop right up. Pop right up and just do it. Don't even complain about it. Don't think. Don't think and don't think, oh, I'm too tired. Just get up and start. One resolution is to travel more this year. Ooh. Um, that's a good one. Oh, less I've traveled so much. I wanna stay still. I wanna stay still. I don't like traveling that much. I've traveled enough for my life. I feel like I feel like I've traveled enough. After you've been around enough, you're just like, "Ugh, just give me my house. Just give me my house, give me my couch. I don't wanna be everywhere. I don't wanna be in the airport." Actually, that's a beautiful thing, like, on a cold day, to not have to be lugging around your luggage and being at the airports, and yeah, that's kinda painful sometimes. Um, NYR. I don't know what that means. I feel like I'm getting out of, like, the lingo, guys. Like, there's a whole lingo now that I'm missing. Um, Maybe you're talking to somebody else in the chat. I'm gonna go with that. You wanna leave your Evite. Oh, you wanna leave your wife? I hope you don't wanna leave your wife, guys. I don't recommend that. I don't. I really don't. I mean, if you're a gentleman and you're leaving your wife, I mean, the practical wisdom is financially, that's a bad move. That's number one. I mean, biblically, that's a bad move. That's number two. I mean, it depends on your situation. Maybe the Bible allows you to leave them. But if you're leaving your wife for your New Year's, oh, NYR is New Year's resolution. I don't recommend that. I stand by it. I don't recommend it because a lot of times it can be turned around, even if it's, you know, even if it's falling apart, it can be turned around. I very much believe in that, that if you feed it, that it can grow. If you like, feed it wisdom, love, structure, that it can grow. And I can tell you what, like, if you end it, I can guarantee you that money goes away, like, lifestyle will often changes. It takes time to recover. It took me how long? It took me, I think, 4 years to financially recover from my divorce. And I know a lot of people, it takes them 10, 15 years to recover financially. This is financially, it's not emotionally. It's just financially. So I would just say, you know, think hard about it, pray a lot about it. And um, I would also ask if you have a biblical reason for divorce, just because in the Bible, it only really cites infidelity. And if you're married to an unbeliever, those are like the two reasons for a divorce. Is if you are married to an unbeliever and they abandon the home. That is a biblical reason for a divorce. It's also a biblical reason to get a divorce if you If there's been infidelity in the marriage, that's a biblical reason. But outside of that, you don't have good biblical reasons to get divorced. And that's for a good reason. Because honestly, guys, it's like the way I think about it, it's it's actually really hard. I don't think it's impossible. I mean, I'm single and I'm fine, but it's actually really hard if you're going from togetherness to single, from a larger house to a smaller one, you know. These are major changes in life. Some of the number one stressors in life are, dealing with a death, dealing with a wedding, dealing with a move, and a job change, and like divorce, obviously. These are some of the biggest stressors in life. So these are like not things to be taken lightly. And literally, what if you prayed about your marriage, and what if you fed it, and what if you turned it around and you kept all that money in your bank, and then you kept the big house that you live in, or you kept your financial stability? So it took this person 10 years to recover from their divorce. That is typical. That is typical. I recovered in 4 years. Why? Not because I'm an anomaly, number 1. Number 2, I was at the beginning of my career. At now, if I got divorced right now, that recovery probably would not be 4 years. I was at the beginning of my career and young. So I had my income earning potential was still at that time growing rapidly. So my ability to recover was parallel to I was already on a trajectory for large financial growth, if that makes any sense. So to leave, I was leaving when I was pretty much at my financially, I would probably say I was pretty much at I wouldn't say my lowest point, because lowest point would have been in college, but my lowest point in my adulthood. So it wasn't hard to recover that for me because of my age and because of my trajectory. But every person's career is not equal. So some people, their career is not gonna do a huge like jump on the bell curve. It's not gonna go up. It's gonna go kind of straight. For somebody where it goes straight, their recovery time is way, way longer. So if you're making 6 figures now, maybe you make 100K. If you're not expected to earn 200K in the next 8 years, then your trajectory for like balancing that out is not the same as somebody who's, you know, making 70K and then about to earn 200K. That's two different people. That's two different recoveries. So I would just say be careful, because financially it is super painful. I say that being a woman, so I can't even imagine what it's like for being a man. Um, you know, I'm a woman. I'm a woman, but I would say I don't think there was any difference between me and the average guy. I will say that. So, as somebody said, this chick tried to wipe me out, literally. I believe you. At the end of the day, I would just say don't let the devil talk to you when you're at your low point. Just rebuke him, because the devil will say it's worthwhile to get rid of your partner and start all over again. And there are risks to doing that. And I just want to throw that out there. The devil's going to say, just start all over again, rip the band-aid, and you can replace her. And these are all the thoughts of the devil, like, oh, this is going to be, you're going to live your best life. You can replace her. You're going to have all your peace. I mean, God does redeem a bad situation, but there are natural circumstances that follow a divorce. Just their natural circumstances, if that makes any sense. And what this gentleman is talking about and what I'm talking about is the real thing. So, as much God as I have now, I mean, and it's not going to be fun for a minute. So, um, and finding peace, like the same kind of finding your peace you can do. Maybe you can just like go to another room for a minute and just be there rather than just up and leave, because it's going to take a lot to find your peace as a man when your money's not right. Like, even starting a date again, it's hard when your money's not right, you know? That's all I'm saying. And then for a woman, I mean, I feel like I went through the same thing that a man went through. So I'm just telling the truth. I know it's painful, but pray about it. I say don't take it lightly. God forgives you. God forgives divorce. Everything's redeemable in the eyes of God. Um, but just don't take it lightly. That's all I'm saying. It's a real thing, especially if there's kids involved. If there's kids involved, it's even harder. So it's a real thing. Don't take it lightly. That's all I'm saying. But if you got to do what you got to do, God still loves you and he'll be there throughout the whole thing. But he doesn't like divorce because it hurts families. It hurts kingdom finances. It's painful. It's a painful process. And God knows how it hurts his kids to be divorced. He knows it. For some reason, like, I think almost too, young people get divorced and the word in their head is like, um, you're gonna replace them. That I feel like that's the word that the devil uses. Like, you're gonna replace them and it's gonna be better. It's gonna be better next time. But you end up kind of replacing them or not. That's lie number one. Some people replace them, some people don't, but they don't always end up better. They just end up with something different. And I will tell you, different feels different. And you don't really, it may not be love that you feel when you leave and you start something with someone new, but what you will feel is like, this is not my ex. And that is different. That is different. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, the longer you were married, the more different starting over feels. It literally feels like different. I won't say horrible. I will just say the word different. And I'm a person who I like a good old pair of shoes. I don't like to change up things a whole lot. So different is not good for me. I like the same. I don't like different. So I guess it depends on the person. But I feel like that's the number one lie the devil tells is like different is good and it's gonna be better. But sometimes it's not better, it's just different. And if you think, oh man, she nags, she this, she that, how about the next person ends up being the same way and you don't have childhood memories with them? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have like a lifetime of memories to share. You just have something brand new and it also gets like to a bumpy road and you don't have like your life, you like your childhood memories to like encourage you in the dark moments with somebody new. With somebody new, it's just too new to have any history. So that becomes a thing, if that makes any sense. Um, wow. Les is telling the truth in that chat. I'm not gonna repeat it, but I feel you. um and I support prenups as well. I mean, you guys, Les, I think you've been on the channel long enough to remember when I didn't support prenups, and I was like, prenups. But this is after like just the more people that I know that are well off. I, what I realize is those guys are not getting married without a prenup. They're just not going to do it. And what I don't want is for kingdom people to be in sin and rather than married. If you need to sign a prenup to get married, I would rather you get married. That's my bottom line. So yeah. Um and seeing like how devastating things can be, and like I said, at 50, if you're 50 and you're starting all over again, it's harder to start all over again than it is when you're 20 or 25, So yeah, prenups can be useful, so I support it. Now, I honestly, I would just say get it. Just get the prenup and move on. I mean, I know it's not where I started, but it's where I've ended, and that's okay too. I'm okay to evolve over time. I evolve over time as well. Um, Somebody said, I repeat, nobody's taken half of what I built. But like I also like I don't want people to be in sin because they're so focused on the money, but you do need to be able to survive and not live in a box. So I get that. So, ooh, when lawyers are sending requests for all your financial statements, it's a slap in your face. I know. It's such a messy process. I don't think people can properly understand how when the whole world, like, God, y'all, you don't understand how bad it is when your whole life is put on display in front of the whole world on a stand, like your worst moments. Your worst moments, a whole group of people get to know about your worst moments. It is literally the most devastating thing that one can go through. Is not only to, like, have this horrible moment in life, but to have it publicized and you feel like it's televised, although it's not. In your head, it might as well be televised. All these people listening to your most horrible, darkest moments in a public courtroom. Y'all, there's nothing like that to, like, mess you up for a while. Have everybody going to Christian counseling. I mean, on the bright note, like, at least you get saved from some of these things too. God will take it and turn it around for good. But yeah, we're not trying to preach at the end of the day. At the end of the day, like, this is the experience. Like, sometimes it takes people that have been on the other side of it to just say, just slow down and pray rather than run toward it. That's all. Let's see here. Okay, guys, it says now women nowadays only focus on the money. They're singing Tina Turner, "What's love got to do with it?" Oh, that's not necessarily true. That's not everybody. Don't categorize them all. But I do understand what you're saying. But yeah, it's everybody. It's not everybody. It's just some people. Okay, guys, I think my phone's about to go out in a minute, so I'm gonna have to log off. But I'll be in my Bible, be in your Bible, and if I have time, I'll go live a little bit later. Happy Sunday, folks. Talk later. Bye.